Hey there guys, it is time to find out today if you are hardcore or natural core. And yeah, you might be thinking core and you would be right. Something to do with the abdominals. So look, as per usual, I've got a range of props here, which you may or may not use. Obviously I've got a huge range of things here, but you just might have something like some pillows at home, rolled up towels, blankets, anything like that. How do you know whether you use your propping or not? This is how. Okay, join me down on the mat. First thing I want you to do is just lay on your back and have your knees bent. Okay, so heels sort of underneath the knees or just slightly out. Feet in the channel of your hips, and you're just going to lay on the floor and just do a quick assessment. So you're going to place your hands on your pelvis and adjust your pelvis to neutral, so where your pubic symphysis, your pubic bone, is level with your two hip bones, your ASIS, so find that space. There, my hip bones are too low, my pubic bone's proud. Here, I've gone the other way, so it's somewhere in between where you think they're level, yeah, so use your hands. And then get a sense of where your head's at, okay, so if you feel as though your head's reaching back behind you, see if you can lengthen the back of your neck. If you can't do it on your own, there's a sure sign that you are going to need some elevation of the head. The other thing is I want you to look at is placing one hand on your ribs and one on your pelvis. What's the altitude difference between, or the height difference between your ribs and your pelvis? Now, in order to get a good core workout, we need these two sets of bones level with each other. And as you can see, when I just curl forward slightly, now my ribs are sitting level with my pelvis. So what I need to do is put a whole lot of stuffing in behind here to fill the space between perhaps my shoulders and my head and the floor. So I'm just going to set up and you can do the same. Alright, so I've got a groovy little ramp system here which just elevates my shoulders slightly and brings my head up. So now when I measure my ribs in relation to my pelvis, they're a lot more level. Alright, starting with your hands at your side. Now, no doubt you would have had the term thrown around a lot, whether it's at the gym or a Pilates class, whatever. You know, pull your belly button to your spine, or engage your core, or hold your tummy muscles tight. I want you to try and ditch all of that if that's possible. And let's look at another way of perhaps integrating your whole body, including your core. Alright, so starting with your knees bent, feet on the floor, what I want you to do is keep your feet down initially. Okay, when you're looking at me doing this, you're going to be going, she's not doing anything. However, underneath your feet, there is now weight sitting underneath each foot, and you can feel your feet sitting on the floor. Stay in contact with the floor, however, just remove the weight, the actual physical weight from under one foot, and then allow the weight to come back into that foot, and then do it on the other side. So again, the feet stay down, but you're just removing the weight from underneath the foot. So it's like you want to lift your foot, but you're not going to. And then let the weight come back into it. Now, you don't have to repeat this a few times, especially those of you out there who are used to being told to engage your core, pull your belly button to your spine, or all those other things, terms that we use to, you know, potentially activate the core. And just get used to removing or unloading, I call it, unload the weight from beneath each foot and then place it back into the foot. And just do this for a few times, alternating from one foot to the other. Now what you'll feel as you're going through this motion is, as soon as you take the weight out of one foot, you will feel a switch turn on in your abdominal region, in your abdominal cavity. And that is your core activating naturally without you having to tell it what to do. The other thing you'll notice as you remove the weight from underneath your foot is you'll feel that weight transfer into the pelvis. So as you remove the weight without removing the foot, one, the abdominal switch, you just feel something, it switches on, tummy's tightened. And you can also feel the weight that was in your foot, it transfers into your pelvis, so it feels like your pelvis is sinking into the floor more. The other thing you may or may not feel is as you remove the weight from beneath your foot, your thigh bone, especially the top of the thigh bone, you may even feel how that sinks deeper into the hip joint. Once you've mastered that skill, which isn't easy, and you know, if you're someone who's used to a lot of big movement, you're kind of thinking, oh, that's not going to do anything. You know, it can take you a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. Once you've mastered that skill, you then add to it. So maintaining your neutral pelvis, and we've set up our propping so our ribs are neutral to our pelvis, we're going to unload one foot, and then you can actually lift the foot and slowly bring your leg back into this 90-degree hip and knee position, which we call tabletop. And then pause, because you need to reconnect your head again, and you're going to repeat the same process using the other foot. So slowly, before you lift the foot, remove the weight from it, feel the pelvis sinking even more, and then allow that leg to come back. And you're going to feel a ton more abdominal work right now, even harder when you're talking. All right, and then we reverse the motion. So we want to extend from the hip joint to bring the foot back to the floor. However, I'm not allowed to put the weight into that foot yet. And then I extend the other hip, bringing that foot back to the floor. And once both of my feet are on the mat, then I let the weight drop back into the feet, and your body goes, oh, abdominals off. So we're going to repeat that again. Starting with removing the weight from under one foot. Remember, start with the neutral pelvis, neutral ribs. Remove or unload the weight from the foot. Feel the pelvis sinking, feel the abdominals engaging, and only then allow the leg to come back into tabletop. And then repeat on the other side. Remove or unload the weight from beneath the foot. Feel your pelvis dropping down even more, and then bring that leg back into our tabletop position. And our abs are working. Oh yeah. All right, and then again we reverse the motion. Bringing one leg back to the floor by extending from the hip, land the foot, and then do the same on the other side. And once both of your feet are touching the ground, then let the weight drop back into them. This is hard work. If you can do 10 of these, you are hardcore, but working with your natural core. So we'll do one more. All right. Propped, ribs level with pelvis, arms at your sides, feet, heels underneath, somewhere around there. Unload one foot, remove the weight from the foot, feel the abdominals switch on, feel the pelvis sink into the floor, then bring the leg back. And then repeat on the other side. Remove the weight from under the foot before you lift the foot, feel more weight sink into the pelvis, and then bring that leg back. And then slowly lower them in exactly the same manner, but in reverse. And the very last thing we do is let the weight come back into the feet. And when you do, you'll feel all the abdominal switches, they turn off and you have a rest. So if you can start practicing this one first, once you've mastered all of those sensations, actually feeling what's happening, then you can find a pace that you can work at. So you don't always have to do it dead slow, but it's not like you're ever going to do it really, really fast either. Always at a pace where you can feel all of those steps taking place. So the weight comes out of the foot, the weight transfers into the pelvis, the abdominals engage, and that way you're working with a natural core. The whole body is being integrated, not because you're telling your tummy muscles to tighten, but they're doing it naturally in response to your movement. So guys, good luck. Be hardcore doing the movement, but stay with your natural core. See you soon.